Before anything appears in your life, it first bows to your imagination. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that life is not happening to you, but through you. Imagine that the world you wake up to every morning is not an objective reality waiting for your participation, but a reflection responding to the secret movements of your inner world. The people, the events, the circumstances, every encounter and every coincidence are not random. They are projections of something much deeper, shaped in silence before they ever appear in form. The inner scene creates the outer stage. What you call your life is not happening out there, it is unfolding in here. The outer is only an echo. The true theater of existence is invisible. It is written and rehearsed within the mind long before it is performed on the grand stage of the physical world. Every joy, every sorrow, every triumph, every delay, each is a line spoken by an actor you unconsciously cast through the imaginal. Drama you live within yourself. You think you're reacting to the world, but in truth, the world is reacting to you. It mirrors your beliefs, it reflects your assumptions, it expresses your dominant states of consciousness. What you accept as true within becomes what you experience without. There is no separation between thought and thing, between feeling and fact. The invisible produces the visible, and the cause of all appearance lies in imagination. Every man and woman is an artist, painting upon the canvas of reality with the brush of feeling. You may not realize it, but you are constantly imagining, constantly feeling, constantly creating. The world you see today is the residue of yesterday's imaginal activity. You dreamed it into being, though you might not have done so deliberately. Most people live unaware of this creative law. They think life is chance, that fortune or fate is responsible for what they experience. They do not know that they are the playwrights of their own drama, the dreamers of their own dream. If you wish to change your life, you must first change the inner scene. To attempt to alter the outer world while leaving the inner unchanged is to fight shadows. It is like rearranging scenery on a stage without rewriting the script. You can decorate the backdrop, shift the lighting, or change the actors, but if the story remains the same within you, the play will continue as before. The audience of life will only ever see the reflection of your inner convictions. So ask yourself, what story are you telling yourself about yourself? What are you assuming to be true about your world? Do you secretly believe you are unloved, unsupported, unlucky, unseen? Then life will present the evidence to confirm it. You will meet the characters, live the scenes, and walk through the settings that mirror that belief until you awaken to your authorship and rewrite the script. The law is perfect, it never fails. Whatever you consent to as true in imagination will eventually be expressed in the outer world. It may come swiftly or slowly, but it must come, for there is no power outside consciousness. The unseen dimension of thought, feeling, and assumption is the true creative realm. The outer world is merely the reflection, the shadow, the after image of your inner activity. Think of yourself as both playwright and actor. The mind is the theater. Your imagination is the pen. Your feelings are the ink. Every thought imbued with emotion inscribes a line upon the scroll of reality. You are constantly rehearsing scenes, some filled with fear, some with hope. But remember, the universe does not distinguish between what you want and what you fear. It only knows what you feel is real. Whatever inner drama you persist in, emotionally will take form in time. You are being told to pray, but few understand what prayer truly is. It is not the begging of a distant deity, it is the acceptance of a fulfilled desire. True prayer is the act of assuming that the thing desired is already yours, of entering into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This inner act of imagination, sustained and believed in, rearranges the outer stage to match its tone. Every change must begin in consciousness. Do not seek to manipulate the world of form. Instead, withdraw inwardly and construct the scene you wish to experience. See it clearly. Feel it naturally. Live within it until it takes on the tones of reality. The inner act done in faith will objectify itself without effort. There is no need for struggle. Life reorganizes itself around your new state of being. Suppose you desire freedom, love, abundance, or health. Do not chase them outwardly. Assume them inwardly. Picture yourself as already possessing what you long for. Feel the satisfaction of it. Let that feeling saturate you until it becomes your natural mood. When this becomes your inner scene, the outer stage will conform. You will meet the right people, stumble upon perfect opportunities, and move through experiences that align with that new inner reality. It will seem as though the world has changed, but in truth, only you have changed, and the world merely mirrored your transformation. Every event in your life can be traced back to a pattern of thought. Even those circumstances you call accidents or coincidences are but the outer reflections of subconscious belief. When you truly grasp this, you will stop blaming others, stop condemning situations, and start assuming responsibility for your own play. You will realize there is no one to change but self. And this is not self in the sense of personality or ego, but self as consciousness, the deep I am that imagines and feels. When that inner self awakens to its power, the world bows to its command. You begin to live deliberately, not by chance. You select your states as an artist selects colors, knowing that whatever you occupy within will inevitably appear without. There are infinite versions of your life, existing as possibilities in imagination. Each state has its own scenery, its own characters, its own story. You do not have to create them. They already exist. You simply have to occupy them. How do you do this? Through feeling. Feeling is the secret door between realities. When you feel something to be true, you have entered that state, and all corresponding events must unfold to match it. When you feel poor, the world will supply endless evidence of lack. When you feel rich, it will show you abundance in countless forms. When you feel unloved, you meet indifference. When you feel adored, love greets you at every corner. The feeling precedes the fact. The inner scene gives birth to the outer stage. You cannot fake the inner scene. The world cannot be fooled. It reflects not what you say, but what you are. Words spoken without inner conviction are empty echoes. But a single thought, deeply felt, believed, and lived inwardly, has the power to rearrange continents, to move mountains, to alter destinies. So if you would master life, master the inner movie you are playing, watch the film running within you. What images fill your mind before you sleep? What conversations do you rehearse? What arguments do you relive? What dreams do you allow to repeat? For those imaginal acts are not idle, they are seeds. And every seed will find its season of expression. The world you see tomorrow is already growing in the soil of your imagination tonight. That is how precise the law is. Change your inner conversation, and you will change your world. Stop speaking as though you are defeated, and the outer scene will stop giving you defeat. Begin to imagine yourself as victorious, fulfilled, radiant, and the world will cast you in that role. Every desire you hold is a calling from a higher version of yourself, asking to be remembered and embodied. You cannot desire something that does not already exist in potential. Desire is the echo of something already real in the unseen realm. pulling you toward its manifestation. When you feel that pull, do not doubt it. Respond to it. Assume its fulfillment, and let the feeling write the new script of your life. The greatest discovery you will ever make is that consciousness is the only reality. There is no world apart from mind. There is no circumstance apart from imagination. The entire play of life is consciousness unfolding. The stage, the props, the characters, the plot, they are all expressions of what you have accepted as true. You are the dreamer dreaming the world into being. When you awaken to this, you no longer fear appearances. You know they are temporary, malleable reflections of inner states. You no longer beg for change. You create it. You no longer wait for permission. You assume it. You no longer chase shadows. You turn inward to the source of light. The inner scene creates the outer stage. Always, no exception. When the inner changes, the outer must follow. Therefore, guard your imagination more than any treasure, for from it springs the life you live. If you wish to transform your world, dare to transform your inner world first. Live in the assumption of your fulfilled desire. Let the feeling of it become your dwelling place, your home. And soon, what was once imagined will stand before you in solid fact. What was once invisible will take on the substance of reality. And you will know, by direct experience, that you were never a victim of circumstances, but the silent author of every scene, every act, every line that life has ever spoken through you. And so we begin to understand that every person we meet is a reflection of some facet of our own consciousness. It is easy to blame others for our misfortunes, to see enemies in every challenge, to call circumstances unfair. Yet the truth is far more subtle, far more intimate. Each encounter, each relationship is orchestrated by the inner states we inhabit, those we call friends, lovers, rivals, or strangers. They are all mirrors, each reflecting the dominant attitudes we hold within. When you perceive conflict, look inward. When you perceive harmony, look inward. The outer stage is never the cause. It is the effect, the echo, the physical rehearsal of what has long been written in the theater of your mind. The inner scene is meticulous. It does not rush. It does not announce itself with fanfare. It quietly shapes, slowly organizes, with absolute precision. You may plant a seed of thought today and not see it flower for months or even years. Yet it grows unseen, nourished by your attention, your emotions, your beliefs. And when the conditions of time and imagination are right, it will burst forth in form exactly as conceived in feeling. Consider for a moment the states you carry throughout your day. How often do you replay fears, doubts, or old grievances? How often do you entertain assumptions of scarcity, limitation, or rejection? These are not harmless mental wanderings. They are blueprints. Each repeated thought becomes a pattern that the universe faithfully manifests. If you habitually imagine misfortune, the outer stage must eventually produce evidence of it. If you habitually imagine abundance, the world cannot deny it. It must present the props, the people, the circumstances that match the reality of your imagination. Many live as if their lives are dictated by external conditions, yet those conditions are obedient servants of consciousness. They cannot exist without the inner assumption that allows them to appear. A man may cry out against poverty, yet his inner scene speaks of struggle, limitation, and impossibility. The outer stage, being faithful to the inner decree, supplies him with constant proof of what he believes. Conversely, when he changes the internal scene, when he imagines wealth, abundance, and security with unshakable feeling, the stage rearranges itself. Opportunities appear, Circumstances shift, and people respond as if the world itself is conspiring to validate his inner truth. It is not magic. It is law. The law of assumption, the law of consciousness, the law of imagination. This law does not negotiate. It does not debate. It only obeys. It says, what you accept as true within will be expressed without. Nothing else is necessary. No ritual, no struggle, no external manipulation. Simply the inner reality made so vivid, so tangible in feeling, that the outer world cannot help but reflect it. Do you see, then, why the cultivation of your inner life is paramount? The outer stage is a fragile, shifting illusion, but the inner scene is the foundation upon which reality is constructed. If you neglect your imagination, if you allow it to be passive, uncontrolled, or negative, the outer stage becomes a reflection of chaos. But if you master your inner life, if you discipline your imagination, if you insist upon dwelling in the feeling of your fulfilled desires, then the outer world bends in obedience. This mastery begins with awareness. Notice the movies playing in your mind. Notice the habitual conversations you hold with yourself. Notice the way you speak about others, about life, about yourself. Every remark, every judgment, every expectation is a brick in the construction of your outer reality. When you become aware, you begin to see patterns, and patterns can be consciously rewritten. You are not powerless. You are never powerless. The moment you realize that your inner world is the true theater, you take command of the script. Do not underestimate the power of imagination. It is not mere fancy or idle daydreaming. It is the womb of reality, the matrix of all creation. Every invention, every achievement, every work of art, every discovery began in the invisible realm of thought and feeling. The great innovators, the great leaders, the great creators, what set them apart was not merely skill or talent, but the ability to live inwardly in the reality they desired outwardly. They rehearsed it, believed in it, inhabited it as fact long before it was manifest, and the world eventually mirrored their inner certainty. Yet this is not a distant law only for the extraordinary. It is the birthright of every human being. To live deliberately, to live consciously, is to awaken to the truth that the inner scene is sovereign. You do not need validation from the world. You do not need proof from circumstance. All evidence resides within. All power resides within. The outer stage is simply the echo, the shadow, the applause of the life you hold imaginatively before you. And so we return to the question of discipline. To master the inner scene is not a casual endeavor. It requires persistence, repetition, and the willingness to feel as though the desired reality is already true. When doubt rises, it must be met with the quiet insistence of imagination. When fear threatens, it must be overridden by the certainty of feeling. The mind must be trained as a sacred instrument, capable of holding the vision undisturbed, capable of dwelling in the satisfaction of what is not yet seen. Consider sleep, that mysterious interval where consciousness seems to dissolve. It is here, in the moments before slumber, that the mind is most receptive to the planting of seeds. The thoughts you dwell upon as you drift into sleep impress themselves upon your subconscious, and the inner scene strengthens silently beyond your conscious effort. To end the day imagining your desired reality, to feel its fulfillment before sleep claims you, is to set the stage for its inevitable expression. Night is not idle. Night is rehearsal. Night is the silent hand shaping the outer world. The outer world may resist, may test, may present obstacles, but resistance is never truly against you. It is a reflection of incomplete inner conviction. Doubt and hesitation are the only real enemies. As long as your inner scene remains fluid, hesitant, or conflicted, the outer stage will supply situations that reflect that inner uncertainty. But when inner certainty solidifies, when you inhabit the state of the fulfilled wish without question, the outer world becomes pliable, cooperative, almost as if it were aware of the authority from which it takes instruction. Even seemingly negative events can be redirected through the mastery of inner consciousness. No circumstance is inherently binding unless you consent to it. Rejection, loss, failure, disappointment, these are mirrors of what is held as true within. Change the inner script, and you will find that what once appeared as obstacle becomes opportunity. What once appeared as loss becomes gain. What once appeared as defeat becomes a step toward triumph. Your imagination is your sovereign realm. You can dwell in poverty or wealth, in sickness or health, in limitation or boundless possibility. The outer stage has no authority to alter what you decree internally. The only authority is your acceptance, your assumption, your living in the in. And it is not enough to wish, hope, or pray from a place of lack. You must feel, you must accept, you must live as if the scene is already fulfilled. The inner scene must dominate, saturate, and override all outer appearances until the outer conforms naturally, inevitably, without struggle. Every gesture, every word, every thought, every emotion must be aligned with the inner vision you desire. It is not the act in the world that matters. It is the state you occupy before the world acts. Do not ask, how will this come to pass? Ask, how shall I feel now that it is done? Live in that answer. Carry it with you through the day. Let it guide your thoughts, shape your emotions, and color your interactions. Let it permeate every corner of your consciousness until the outer world has no choice but to mirror the reality you inhabit inwardly. In the same way, every relationship can be transformed through inner assumption. Do not attempt to change the other person outwardly. The outer can never be forced. But within, imagine the relationship as you wish it to be. Feel the love, the respect, the harmony, or the joy as already present. Hold the scene in mind, hold it in feeling, and watch how the world rearranges itself to conform. The outer behavior will shift to match the inner state. The world cannot resist a fulfilled inner scene. The outer stage is vast, complex, and seemingly chaotic, but the inner scene is simple, precise, and sovereign. Complexity is only an illusion created by neglect of consciousness. Simplicity is the law's signature. You imagine, you feel, you assume, and the world bows in obedience. You do not need to struggle, fight, or push. You need only to dwell in the reality you wish to experience, to saturate it with feeling, to live within it with unwavering conviction, and the universe will manifest its reflection. Your imagination is alive, conscious, and responsive. It is the womb from which all events are born. If you feed it doubt, fear, or negativity, it will grow those things in the outer world. If you feed it faith, certainty, and the feeling of fulfillment, it will produce the corresponding life. Every scene, every encounter, every turn of fortune is prefigured in the inner realm. What is imagined inwardly with feeling will be expressed outwardly with certainty. The secret, the profound truth, is that you are never at the mercy of the outer world. You are always the master of the inner scene, and the inner scene is always the cause of the outer stage. Everything obeys the laws of consciousness. Everything responds to assumption. Everything unfolds in accordance with the realities you live and feel inwardly. The universe does not oppose you. it reflects you. It shows you precisely what you have accepted, approved, and believed. To live deliberately, therefore, is to inhabit the inner scene with conscious authority. To live consciously is to recognize that nothing appears outside without first existing inside. To live successfully is to feel the fulfillment of your desires now before evidence appears. To live in harmony with the law is to assume control of your imagination, to nurture it, and to watch with patience and faith as the outer stage rearranges itself in perfect obedience. The mastery of the inner scene is the key to mastery of life. It is the single act, the one truth, the principle that governs all creation. No external teaching, no external circumstance, no external effort can override this law. You are the origin, the source, the unseen architect. The outer stage is your faithful reflection, your obedient mirror, your silent applause. What you hold within, you will see without. What you accept within, you will experience without. The inner scene creates the outer stage. And so you begin to observe, to imagine, to feel, to inhabit, to live deliberately. Every detail matters. Every feeling counts. Every assumption is sacred. You are not powerless. You are not passive. You are not at the mercy of chance. You are the unseen director, the inner actor, the silent creator. All the world, all its forms, all its events, these are the notes, the props, the backdrop of the stage. And you are the mind that writes the music, arranges the scenery, and chooses the players. Life is not what happens to you. Life is what you imagine, assume, and feel. Life is the outer reflection of the inner theater. To change what you see, you must first change what you feel. To change what unfolds, you must first change the scene you occupy. To transform the stage, master the script within. The inner scene is sovereign, the outer stage obeys. The law is exact, precise, and relentless. What you assume, what you feel, what you live inwardly, the world must one day show you without. When you awaken to this truth, every step becomes deliberate. Every action becomes intentional. Every thought becomes sacred. You no longer wander in unconscious patterns. You no longer react helplessly. You no longer chase shadows. You live as the creator of the scene, the author of the story, the unseen hand guiding the play. The world bows to consciousness. The stage unfolds according to your imagination. Every circumstance aligns. Every person responds. Every opportunity manifests. And you walk forward knowing that the outer stage is nothing but the faithful echo of the inner scene you choose to inhabit. The secret is not in waiting, not in hoping, not in struggling. It is in imagining, feeling, and dwelling in the fulfilled state. The universe responds without hesitation. The law never falters. The inner scene creates the outer stage, always perfectly, inevitably. And so your task is clear. Guard your inner life. Cultivate the scene you wish to see. Feel it as reality now. Live it inwardly. Saturate your being with the certainty of its fulfillment. Let no fear, doubt, or negativity disturb your inner world. For in that quiet, unshakable conviction, life itself wanes, circumstances rearrange, and the world becomes the mirror of your imagination. The stage is set, the players await, and the script has been written long before your eyes saw it. The only thing left is for you to inhabit it fully, to feel it completely, to live it now. And as you do, the outer world will rise to meet you, perfectly, inevitably, exactly as you imagined it. The inner scene creates the outer stage, always, without exception. This is the law. This is the truth. This is the power that has been within you all along. Let us delve even deeper into the principle that governs all life. The inner scene creates the outer stage. Every circumstance, every interaction, every moment of apparent chance is but a shadow of a deeper reality, a reality that exists first within the mind and heart. The outer world is never original. It is reflective, obedient, faithful to the states of consciousness that inhabit you. You cannot experience the outer world in contradiction to the inner reality. It is impossible. The universe is precise, unwavering, and consistent in this law. Consider the mind as a fertile garden. Thoughts are seeds, and feelings are the water and sunlight. What you cultivate inside will inevitably produce its fruit outside. If you sow seeds of fear, limitation, and doubt, the world will respond with challenges, scarcity, and obstacles. If you sow seeds of faith, love, and confidence, the world will respond with opportunities, abundance, and support. The garden does not question your intention. It simply responds to the inner condition, producing in form what you hold in thought and feeling. Many wander through life believing that they must battle the external world, that circumstances must be wrestled with, or people persuaded to change. Yet this approach is backwards. External conflict is always the echo of inner dissonance. Attempting to alter the outer without first transforming the inner is like trying to pull a reflection from a mirror. You may move your hand, but the reflection only moves according to what you hold behind your eyes. The inner scene is the origin, the seed, the unalterable cause. Every emotion you experience is a compass, pointing to the inner state that dominates your consciousness. Anger, fear, jealousy, anxiety. These are not obstacles to be ignored. They are indicators, signposts of what you have allowed to dominate your imagination. To change the outer, first follow the guidance of emotion inward. Understand that these feelings are signals showing you the scenes you are rehearsing internally. By changing the inner scene, the outer becomes a natural extension of that new reality. Your imagination is the invisible stage, the unseen theater, the workshop of reality itself. It is alive. It is responsive. It is always creating every day, every hour, every minute. Your imagination is shaping what you will see tomorrow. When you daydream, when you replay memories, when you indulge in worry or hope, you are rehearsing the script of life. The outer world is simply the production of that rehearsal. Imagine it vividly, feel it fully, and life itself must yield to your inner direction. The world cannot resist the mind that knows what it wants and accepts it as already done. The outer world does not act of its own accord. It responds to the inner command. The law is neutral, impersonal, and absolute. What you assume to be true, what you feel to be real, will manifest in form. The universe is merely the faithful stagehand, presenting the props, the scenery, and the actors necessary to bring your inner vision to life. Take, for example, relationships. When you imagine love, attention, or appreciation, you are not forcing someone to act a certain way. You are creating an inner reality that will inevitably be reflected outwardly. When your inner scene is suffused with the feeling of being loved, the world arranges itself to reflect that feeling. You will attract people, circumstances, and opportunities that validate the inner assumption. Conversely, if you feel neglected or unworthy, the outer stage responds with confirmation of that state. Every situation is a mirror of your inner belief. It is not enough to merely desire something or to wish for change. Desire alone is passive. It does not alter reality. The inner scene must be active, alive, and saturated with feeling. Feeling is the bridge between thought and form. It is the substance that transforms imagination into physical experience. Thoughts without feeling are dry seeds. They may or may not germinate. Thoughts with feeling are living seeds. They will inevitably grow into manifestation. This is why so many fail to see results. They think or speak about what they want, but they do not feel it as real. Without the feeling of fulfillment, the outer stage cannot change. The practice of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the highest form of inner mastery. To occupy the state of the fulfilled desire, to live as if it were already true, is to command the outer world without struggle. You do not wait for circumstances to validate your dreams. You first validate them within yourself. And as the inner conviction deepens, life itself conspires to bring that vision into tangible reality. The universe obeys feeling. It obeys assumption. It cannot help but respond to the inner scene you inhabit. Even apparent failure can be transformed by the inner scene. What is labeled as misfortune, rejection, or loss is merely a reflection of inner disbelief or fear. The outer world does not punish, it mirrors. When you change the inner assumption, obstacles dissolve or take on a new meaning. Every situation becomes a step in the fulfillment of your vision. Every challenge an opportunity to reinforce the inner conviction. Every setback a prompt to return to the feeling of the end. Notice then the subtlety of consciousness. It is not enough to think positively or speak affirmations. The inner scene must be inhabited, lived, and felt as real. This is the distinction between fantasy and creation. A fleeting wish, a passing thought, an idle daydream. They are harmless, but they do not compel reality. Only that which is held with unwavering feeling, which occupies the mind and saturates the heart, commands the obedience of the universe. Your life is a continuous projection of the inner scenes you sustain. It is not segmented into luck or chance, success or failure. Everything is continuous, coherent, and causally connected to the state of consciousness that dominates your imagination. When you awaken to this truth, you no longer wait for events to change you. You do not seek evidence in the world before believing. You understand that reality always follows imagination, that the stage is nothing without the script, that form is powerless without the feeling that calls it into being. The inner scene creates not only circumstances, but also perception. What you notice, what you interpret, and what you accept as true is filtered through the lens of your imagination. People do not act randomly. They reflect the inner assumptions you hold about them. Opportunities do not appear haphazardly. They are drawn to the consciousness that recognizes them. The outer world is entirely obedient, yet it is subtle and responsive only to what is internally coherent. Incoherent inner states produce confusion, frustration, and apparent limitation. Coherent inner states produce harmony, opportunity, and fulfillment. Do not underestimate the power of quiet repetition. The inner scene grows stronger with persistent attention, with nightly meditation, with the deliberate imagining of the fulfilled wish. Like a sculptor chiseling marble, repeated feeling shapes and carves reality, cutting away the illusion of impossibility until only the true form remains. The outer world cannot resist the momentum of consistent inner conviction. Every moment you return to the feeling of fulfillment strengthens the scaffolding upon which life will construct the visible form of your desires. The role of imagination is supreme. Reason, logic, and analysis have no dominion here. They may help organize the outer world once it has appeared, but they cannot create it. Only imagination can give birth to reality. Only feeling can sustain it until manifestation. Only assumption can command its expression. The inner scene is a law unto itself, eternal, inviolable, precise. The outer world exists only because the inner world has imagined it. Every great achievement in history, every revolution in thought, every leap in civilization began in the invisible theater of imagination. It began as a state of consciousness, a felt reality, a scene assumed as true. The inventors, visionaries, and pioneers of the world did not wait for circumstances to align. They first aligned themselves inwardly. They lived in the state of fulfillment in the reality of the impossible made possible, and the world yielded to that inner command. Even ordinary life, when lived with awareness, follows the same principle. Happiness, health, prosperity, love, all are manifestations of inner occupation. No circumstance can give you these things. They are the echoes of what you have chosen to inhabit inside. To wait for life to give you what you want is to misunderstand the law. To assume it, to feel it, to live it inwardly is to awaken the universe to serve your imagination. The outer stage is never the master. It is always the mirror, the echo, the faithful reflection of the inner drama. The inner scene is also your sanctuary. While the outer world shifts, confounds, and deceives, the inner scene remains sovereign. No one can alter it without your consent. No circumstance can intrude unless you allow it. Here lies true freedom, the freedom to imagine, to feel, to create without limitation. Here lies true power, the power to command the outer stage, simply by inhabiting the inner scene. The outer is only a servant. The inner is the throne. Every thought that dominates, every feeling that saturates, every assumption that is held, these are the building blocks of life. To construct the world you desire, you must first master these blocks, arrange them deliberately, cultivate them faithfully, nurture them with unshakable feeling. The outer stage will assemble itself according to the blueprint of the inner scene. The law is perfect, precise, and uncompromising. What you accept inwardly, the universe must express outwardly. It is not sudden, and it is not always dramatic. Changes may unfold subtly, like the slow turning of the tide, like the quiet opening of a flower, but they are inevitable. Patience is the companion of imagination. The inner scene does not rush, does not stumble, does not falter. It holds the vision, nourishes the feeling, and waits for the perfect moment for the outer world to manifest. Your role is to dwell in certainty, to maintain the state, to feel it complete, and to allow the world to follow. Every desire, every hope, every dream already exists in the unseen. You do not create it from nothing. You awaken it from within. Life is memory, remembrance, recognition. The inner scene is the true home of your desires. And by dwelling there, by feeling them real, by inhabiting them now, the outer stage cannot help but reflect them. The law does not err, and reality always obeys. The inner scene creates the outer stage. It is the law of all things. It is exact, precise, unyielding, and faithful. To understand this is to understand the secret of all creation, the principle behind every event, the truth behind every encounter, the source of every experience. The world you see is only what you have imagined. The life you live is only what you have assumed. The stage will reflect every act, every feeling, every assumption until you awaken to the sovereignty of your own inner scene. Every interaction, every circumstance, every event is the echo of a thought, a feeling, an assumption that has long existed within. The universe is faithful, patient, responsive. It waits for you to recognize your power, to inhabit the state you desire, to feel the fulfillment of your wish. Then it will act. Then the outer stage will rearrange itself as naturally as dawn follows night to mirror what you have assumed inwardly. To ignore this is to remain a victim of circumstances. To embrace this is to become the conscious creator of all experience. To understand this is to wield the supreme power of life itself. The law is unchanging. The inner scene creates the outer stage. Every scene imagined with feeling becomes a scene played upon the stage of the world. Every assumption sustained with conviction becomes a reality experienced. Every fulfilled feeling becomes the cause of the outer effect. The task before you, then, is nothing less than the mastery of your inner life. Watch, observe, cultivate, refine, and saturate the inner scene with the reality you wish to experience. Let nothing disturb it. Let no fear, doubt, or distraction dilute it. The outer stage will follow, without exception, without hesitation, without error. All the world, all its events, all its people, all its circumstances will move in response to the invisible theater you hold within. You are the unseen director, the silent creator, the sovereign of the inner world. The outer world is but your obedient mirror, a faithful servant, a reflection of what you accept as true. The law is perfect. The principle is eternal. The power is within you. The inner scene creates the outer stage, always, perfectly, inevitably, without exception. And the moment you recognize this, the way you live, the way you feel, the way you imagine, and the way you assume will forever shape the life you experience. And now, as we bring this understanding into focus, realize this. The stage of the life you see around you is not the master. It is the reflection. It is the echo of what you have imagined, the mirror of what you have assumed. Nothing in the outer world has power over you except the power you give it. All authority, all influence, all creation begins within. You have within you the ability to craft your reality with precision. Every thought you entertain, every feeling you embrace, every assumption you inhabit shapes the world around you. There is no magic, no chance, no external force more potent than the inner conviction that you are already living the reality you desire. The universe is faithful. It does not question. It does not hesitate. It simply mirrors what is held as true within. Therefore, do not wait for life to change you. Do not seek validation from circumstance. Do not plead with fate. Instead, take command of your imagination. Create the inner scene of fulfillment, abundance, love, and joy. Feel it as already real. Live it in the secrecy of your consciousness until it saturates every cell of your being. Let the outer world rearrange itself in obedience to your inner authority. This is your power, your sovereignty, your birthright. The law is precise, relentless, and unerring. The inner scene creates the outer stage. Master your inner world, and you will master all that you see. The universe bows to consciousness. Reality responds to feeling. Life is a mirror reflecting the scene you inhabit. Step forward now with this unshakable knowing. You are the creator, the playwright, the director, the actor. Your imagination is the womb of all experience. Your feeling is the command that moves the world. Your assumption is the law that shapes every circumstance. Guard it, nurture it, live in it. And the outer stage, in perfect obedience, will rise to meet you, reflecting the light you have imagined, assumed, and felt as already yours. The inner scene creates the outer stage, always, without exception. And now you know the truth. And with that knowledge comes the power to live deliberately, intentionally, and joyfully as the sovereign creator